Alright, welcome back to Experiment X Plus. Today we are pulling back from more random archives of the Experiment X academic journey. I guess it's technically that journey, but percussion. I am a percussionist. I will prove it. I think the mic picks it up. Got a piano, a keyboard right next to me. Also got a bunch of random other instruments, like guitar in the back, maracas, all that. I got it. I'm a percussionist. Well, I guess technically not anymore, but I also talk about. If you watched my last video, you would know that I am a guy entering a second year of college, so I'm not taking band. Still heavily involved with music though. Trying to relearn all the instruments and stuff and become absolutely goated. But that, I have plans to explain those stuff later. Like, I just want to explain random percussion stories. Because, percussion is probably like the most interesting, instrument you could probably play for many different reasons. I got into it because random 4th grade concert, as a lad. Did I just use the word lad? It's American, Jesus. Just chilling, watching the random concert because, they want people to be inspired to become percussionists. And you had to choose an instrument. You could either choose choir, orchestra, or band. The basic 3 options. So I was watching these guys, percussionists, and they were playing drum pads. I have those. Oh shoot, I don't think I have it. I don't actually know where it is. I want to play it, but I don't have it in my close proximity. And they started just playing it. I was like, wow, this is great. And these are drum pads, and then they had volunteers, and I was like, pick me. It was a school assembly setting, and I was up there, and I was like, wow, this is the greatest thing that I've ever seen. So of course I signed up for it. I think trombone was my second option, because it's picked a second option. Because percussion was also pretty jam-packed, especially the first 2 years. That kind of died down. But I got into it 6th grade was a start, because it was middle school. And definitely interesting, because you could really choose anything you wanted to. It was basic songs, obviously, because we were just learning music. Nothing too hard. Probably playing a lot of drums, but also you got, as I would figure out, it's a lot more than drums. You got the mallet instruments, then you got the random instruments, and you gotta be good at drums too. A lot of emphasis on the drums, though. I think that's obviously, as a percussionist, that's the main emphasis. But you definitely do spend some time playing the mallets. But I was never too good at those. Mainly, especially now, as I kind of relearn piano and stuff. I know where the notes are. I know how to play them. But playing them in a sequence is not my thing. It will kind of be obvious later. Well, I guess that kind of falls off, but again, I'm getting ahead of myself. 6th grade, pretty chill. Basically just standing there and talking to everyone around you, which is basically how every percussion year goes. Some really great conversations came out of that. Very funny ones. 7th grade, you obviously tone it up a little. Still 100-person class. Should have didn't mention. But the important thing here is midway through. Actually, not even midway through. I guess I'll start with another story. One of the cool things about percussion is that you could kind of just make your own stuff, especially with mallets. And one of the basically typical things a percussionist. Okay, I actually know where I'm going with that. One of the things that some of us knew how to do was do the Minecraft. Actually, I'll turn on the piano. I don't know if you can hear it. encore, encore. And I don't know if you can hear that. But yeah, I was just learning the Minecraft theme song because that was goated, and that's basically the only thing I could really play on mallets. But again, no one was really too good. And then, I keep getting my ass off. Great at commentaries. We were just able to make our own music. I did that, just elongated. That was cool. And then COVID happened, and I kind of alluded to this in my last video, but on the day of COVID, we were supposed to have a concert, and we had to go to like the high school. It's like 10-minute walk. I had to rush back to the bell because my bus had like 90 people on it. I had to get my seat, so I had to like run to my lockers after the band room and then back, and then I was like physically exhausted because I had to run as fast as I could, be on time. And then, of course, once I get through my door, my mom's like, "Hey, your band concert canceled because of COVID." And then I never went back to school again that year until I cleaned up my lockers. That was sad. But even though I did practice a little bit of the drums, I kind of stopped playing, and all my somewhat skills were completely eradicated. So with 9th grade, still did percussion with high school. Well, I kind of just saw it as like an easy class. Like, not really because I liked it, but because it was a free 100. If not 100, like a 90. Because if I did like something bad on like a assessment. Because you would do like typical lessons. And I kind of just like BS'd my way. Like, drums, I wasn't that good. I would just be like trying my best if it was like a quarter note. I didn't really know how to play it that well. Like a 16th note. I was just kind of doing it. I had no true knowledge. Mallets, this is true in 9th and 10th grade, because I had a lot of mallet parts. I was just not hitting the notes. I was looking at the people next to me, seeing the general idea of the notes, and just hitting random things, because I basically could not read sheet music until I took music theory in 11th grade. And that's something my instructor kind of realized at a point. Especially since I had the same one after 10th, from 10th grade on. And he kind of just realized that I was not that good. Obviously, they're just not going to be like, "Get out of here." But I feel like I have some stories I'll just save for another video. It doesn't completely relate to this. But let me check my random Google Doc. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. At the end of 10th grade, because it was mostly a chill year. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing, but typical band class experience. But then we get to the last concert of the year, where things kind of get crazy. We did have a really cool song in 10th grade, though. We were doing like chants and stuff for like Guardians of the Galaxy, because that the third one was coming out at that time. That was probably one of my favorite songs we ever did. But in that same concert, I had a huge bell part. Like, it was one of the key features of the song. And I also had to split time on the chimes. And it was just kind of exposed. I didn't know what I was doing. I basically was off. I wasn't putting in the practice. I was just kind of cooked. So it wasn't really a surprise after a given amount of time. But at the same time, it was still kind of sad, where the instructor was like, "Hey, you ain't built for this. We're just going to give your part to like the percussion teacher." Which was probably for the best, but still, that kind of hurt my ego. And I was just kind of still in the chimes part, which was like the easier part. Definitely spared me, but it was kind of like a little lesson. Like, yeah, I gotta try a little harder here. So, come 11th grade, not too much practice, but another thing from my last video is I had to take music theory because I dropped out of Latin and I needed the advanced reasons credit. So I took music theory. I thought I had to be like incredibly knowledgeable to take music theory, but it was just beginner. I was really learning how to become like a music theory pro. Didn't need to do that. But that class gave me a little more appreciation for music, a little more effort. But with 11th grade band, this is where like the true like change happens. Because I was getting flamed a little more. You know how you have like the random session where you just get flamed by the class because you know what you're doing. I had a lot more of those, especially with the suspended cymbal, which is an instrument where you really wouldn't think you would have problems with. That I somehow managed to do. I don't even remember what happened with that. Like, it's 5 minutes. One of the worst experiences of my life. But later that year, we had a piece. Literally, the only one. You can tell it's important because it's one of the only songs that I remember its name. Sunlight Dancing. And I was like, it was kind of one of those assigned parts. And I was assigned the snare drum. Now, I hadn't played the snare drum, like, outside of, like, the lessons, like, since in, like, 2 years. So it's like, oh, shoot, I'm screwed. And there was a lot of things I just did not know what to do. And, like, a warrant, I didn't go and, like, practice because, friends. So, we cut to this part. I don't know what I'm doing. Basically, every class, like, the hit dude's like, hey, come in and see me because you are not doing that good. So, I don't think I actually did go in, but I did spend a lot of time practicing. Very much so, it was very much noticeable, and it actually turned out well. So the music, actually I think the music sheet is on my piano right now. It's just a very good reminder to see where I've come. We cook, and even my instructor remembers that because there's a poster on the side of my wall that I gave out to like all the seniors, and that song's basically like listed on there. It's like the sign of like major improvement, one of the moments he's most proud of. So, don't think I explained that best, but that was definitely a pivotal moment in the band experience. Also, Jesus, I don't know if I'm even going to use this footage in the video, but I just sucked in Dreams Prison. Footage I'm not using for a video. But then we enter senior year, which is obviously the last year of my percussion journey, at least for now. I didn't do that much larger scale parts, like drums or timpani, or like drum set, bells. I saw like one song, which I did cook on. But it was mostly just the smaller stuff, but mainly because there were a lot of like people who were just better at the other instruments, so they kind of just cooked on that one. Have any major stories? This is kind of the year where I had like my music revolution, where I kind of just appreciated music more, started listening to it more, got music aspirations. In terms of percussion, though, that was like the last 4 months of the year. And of course, as I leave for our last concert, they start getting used to like, they started making the concerts cool, like lighting, like they started using props. I don't know if it was like an image on screen, but they started doing cool stuff when I left. It was very unfortunate. Yeah, for the most part, there was still not. Okay, that's still a lot. Lots of big improvement. Definitely a great time. Definitely still want to play music, but I think that's kind of the percussion journey. Do I have anything else? I don't think so. So if you did listen to this incredibly horrible commentary, please subscribe, join Discord, like, comment, and see you in the next one.